What's going on, everybody? Thanks for joining us for the Reignmakers Report. I'm joined by my friend Byron, as you can see, at the Model Maniac on our screen here. And we've got a busy week here in the land of Reignmakers. Not just the John Deere Classic, but also UFC 290 International Fight Week. Some really cool things going on that side. So before we dive into the John Deere Classic, which Byron and I are going to give you all of our top picks and our top buys for the week, I want to go over a couple of housekeeping items here. This week, the Reignmakers PGA Tour slate, which we just mentioned, is $275,000 total to the prize pool. $1,000 at the core level, $2,000 at the rare level, $10K at the elite, $5K at the legendary, and $10K at the Reignmaker going to first place. That is some pretty cool cheddar, Byron, that you can win at the John Deere Classic. We'll get into why I say it that way in just a little bit. Then, as I mentioned, the UFC Fight Night, UFC 290, that's going to bring $250,000 total to the prize pool. A little bit higher for first place, too, for PGA. Then PGA, $5K at the course, $7,500 at the rare, $10K at elite, $10K at legendary, and $15K at Reignmaker. Byron, top heavy over in the UFC streets, huh?
Hey, boy, they talk about those haymaker punches. I think they're giving out some haymaker salary tiers over here, and it's looking good. I feel like, the player pool's not as big, so you got to make it frisky one way or another, and we'll see how it goes. I
like that. That's a good call. It isn't quite as big as a PGA. And then just some UFC news regarding the 290. There's a side set going on. $34.99 for that pack. Get a couple of cards in that pack. Looks like 5 cards, guaranteed at least one rare. And here's the cool thing, which maybe they will do for PGA later on in the season, Byron. We'll talk about that. Is all the cards that you can get in this pack are usable for the 2024 season. So for fighters, and that typically means, somewhere in the neighborhood of 1, maybe 2, 3 fights, something like that. So maybe some more extra utility, especially if you get one of those fighters. So that is our UFC news this week. Still no NFL. We're about a month away, I would say. Check back at the end of the month, say around July 21st, 22nd, 23rd. I bet we'll get a huge slew of NFL announcements, which Byron and I, of course, will break down on this Reignmakers Report show. But until then, we'll stick with our PGA and UFC. So up on tap this week for PGA, we head to TPC Deere Run for the John Deere Classic. A par 71, 7,200 yards. Average score, Byron, we're in for another birdie fest, 69.98, so about 2 under par per round. Average winning score gets to the low 20 unders, even for a par 71. Driving accuracy, down low, but greens and reg is up high, around 70%, so clearly the rough does not matter this week here at TPC Deere Run.
It doesn't, but it's also still, I think, if you're missing the fairways, you are in the trees. I think you can't have a massive miss like I think you could have last week, whereas this week's it's slightly different, but still very forgiving, not nearly as long. So a little bit of a give and take situation.
Yeah, absolutely. And we are going to be going over in this, if you're watching us on YouTube, thank you very much. Appreciate that. And of course, you can find this on podcast form as well. But I would say, I understand, maybe Byron and I are not always the best looking chap, especially me. I'm talking for Byron. Actually, Byron's a pretty good looking guy here. But if you do not want to listen, if you do not want to see our voices, you can listen on podcast. But if you do want to watch on video, that's the best way that I would say to consume it, because Byron and I are going to be talking about a lot of players. And as we do, I'm going to go through the tools that we have here at Lucky Trader that are part of our premium product, how we use them, how you can use them, and so on and so forth. So you can see on your screen here, this is our price estimator tool. So for example, we're going to talk about some of the best players here this week, and the easy way to find the best players playing this week and their prices, their floor prices right now, is through our weekly value metrics tool. And Byron, we're going to start off with Cameron Young right at the top. He is clearly the best player in the field, at least rated-wise by his official world golf ranking, coming in at number 17. But he is not playing good right now. Some wonder why he's at an event like this, who typically don't get a top 25 at it. So what do you make of Cameron Young being here, number one? And number two, I mean, is he really an odds favorite at this point?
Yeah, I don't think he's an odds favorite, and I think you can kind of see that by just how, if you take a look at his recent form, it's not nearly as good as anyone else in this field that's kind of popping. For us, as the Cameron Young owners of many Cam Young cards from many moons ago,
Yeah.
we're kind of hoping that this is the week he kind of gets himself inside that top 30 of the FedEx Cup points with a win potentially. Do I think it's going to happen? No. I think you can just look at his betting odds. They haven't really moved that much, although I think people are scared of him. I just, there's other better options this week, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah, now maybe a couple of those names. Russell Henley, for example, playing a little bit better golf. Denny McCarthy certainly steaming up. But none of them are getting quite as much steam as a guy that's rated just outside of the top 10. But he is part of my top targets here this week. Again, another part of the weekly value metrics. There are 5 guys that I might like or I think should be part of lineups. And Eric Cole, Byron, everybody and his mother is on him, and his mom is a former PGA Tour pro as well, or LPGA player. And she loves to boast about her son on Twitter. And I'll tell you, when my son, either of them win any tournament, I'll be boasting on Twitter as well. So I am not making fun of her in any way. I am fully behind and supporting of it. So are you fully behind Eric Cole this week is the question.
Yeah, I am. I think, to me, he's trending more towards a win than Cam Young is right now. The form is just right there. He's putting, especially in a week like this. The putting is essential. Got to have that. And he is one of the better bent grass greens putters in this field. And, it's not as long of a golf course as we've experienced over the last little while. So I think he kind of fits a bit better on these, precision, not precision. John Deere Classic isn't a precision event, but you can definitely get away with a little lack of distance off the tee if you got some serious accuracy. So yeah, I don't mind him around you at all.
Yep, great point. And just using my the tool here in the background, in my background, the price estimator. So let's just say, we're looking at Eric Cole. We wanted to see all of his different cards out there and all of the different sets. We could certainly do that, but let's just say we want to see what his rare cards are going for. You could do that fairly easily, and you can see most of them are going for around $20. The cheapest typically is a prize set, so that's going for right at $19. We have a fair value estimated at about $15, but Byron, just to let you know how this works and everybody else, this estimated value, what goes into it is a whole number of things. First and foremost, yes, the market price has a value into it, plus a number of events remaining, the number of expected events that they're going to play from here till the end of the season, plus a couple of other factors like their player differentiators. So, for example, we know Jon Rahm cards are probably going to be a little bit more valuable than, say, Eric Cole's cards, just based on the amount of times we expect Jon Rahm to end up in the optimal lineup. So we have a fair value for Eric Cole at around $14.31. But with him probably going to play a little bit more in the fall swing, I expect that to go up once we, get a little bit closer to those events and we hear the field. So, of course, you can kind of get a pretty big picture, a pretty cool picture of what is upcoming as part of our PGA Tour Scheduler tool. This is what I'm showing here on the screen. Who we can expect to play. We do have a lot of names for the Scottish Open next week. So if you have any names, Byron, that you want me to look, we've got most of the field, so we can get a little 2-week run as we talk about these guys as we move along. But nonetheless, let's go back to the
very
top.
Cool.
Yeah,
these are some really cool tools.
Yeah. It's we've spent a lot of time, and the guys behind the screen are just super fun to work with. They all love golf too, so. It's fun to create these, and again, trying to make the game as fun as possible for everybody playing. So back to our board here. We're going to call this our weekly board, our top 10. We could see Denny McCarthy on there. Looks like he's the second most expensive golfer here this week, Byron, right behind Cameron Young. $8 at the core level. The guy's playing great, but I think there's better value throughout the board. I mean, you can go down and find a guy like Emiliano Grillo, who's won this year for maybe half the price. So what do you make of the Denny McCarthy for $8?
Yeah, and I think we're seeing that in the outright market as well, with McCarthy sitting at like 14 and Grillo at like 30. I feel like that's a very same, and I'm going to be on Grillo at 30 at that kind of value. I think at that price point with the way he's played, I think him and Denny pretty much were in that final grouping last year when JT Poston won. So they've both got great course history, both good recent form, not nearly as good as Denny's currently for Grillo, but you can argue that upside as a past winner this year is definitely there. So love what Grillo's getting up to. He actually grades out as the best iron player in the field for me this week from a good shot perspective. So I'm all in on him. And the putt is moving nicely too.
Yeah, and clearly that win, at least in my opinion, has settled him down. I mean, you watched him play at the Memorial the week after. Guy looks like he's totally free out there. And sometimes we see maybe a little bit of a regression. Sure, right? I mean, a guy wins, we don't expect him to win every week. But what I like about Grillo, he's playing freer, hasn't missed a cut since. Clearly, he's here for a reason. He came in second at this golf course last year. So we love that. Another part of this cool scheduler tool, if you want to just get a quick overview of everybody playing in the field there and their floor values for every single tier, you can do that. Quick and easy way to do that. As you can see, I'm scrolling down. Brandon Wu, withdraw. What happened there?
Yeah, I think he's out.
Both of my Wu and Su's not playing this week.
The Wu, Su's, use.
That was like 22 cards for me, man.
I know, dude. Brandon Wu.
Upset about that.
I know.
Couple of names here that I am excited to bring up with you in a little bit. But back to our top board. So it sounds like Emiliano Grillo, if you have a card of him, is he going to be your captain this week in your main lineup? Or are you maybe saying Russell Henley, maybe do, and he's going to be the guy, or I just can't get away from Cameron Young? Where are you going in your first lineup with your captain this week?
I would say my top captain is going to be Eric Cole. I've got him as my number one guy this week. So that would be kind of an outlier. And I think last week kind of showed us, and outside of Ricky and Colin, there's space for volatility, in these kind of smaller fields. And definitely. I feel like Eric Cole, I'm out on Cameron Young. I think he's going to be in my B player pools and stuff like that. Even
oh my gosh,
I'm not captaining him, that's for sure. So that's my answer for Cameron Young. But I don't mind Eric Cole or Denny as a captain.
So in this situation, we know from doing this for enough time that if Cameron Young plays his best golf, he should win, right? I mean, as far as in terms of upside, what we've seen from golfers over the last year and a half, let's say, he should win. But we know that's not how golf works, obviously. Although last week we did see Ricky Fowler win, and everybody thought that he should win, and he did. Sometimes it happens. If you do expect it to happen, and let's say we've got Cam Young, we've got Eric Cole, we don't have to worry so much about the captain spot right now, but let's say a guy like me just cannot say Cam Young is here just to get in the number of starts. No, Cam Young is here so that he can win like Bryson DeChambeau did and get that monkey off his back. He's going to do it at the John Deere Classic. Who's number 3, though? Is Russell Henley's super consistent form gonna be that third guy in the lineup? It's interesting this week, right? The field's not that strong, so you can't just go to, say, Rory McIlroy as your third guy in.
Yeah, I know. That's the funny thing. I'm looking at my power ratings and like no one's above 2. It's just like everyone's scrapping for fractions under 2 here. But I don't know. Russell is my 4th guy in my model. I just don't know about the upside that Russell gives you, but also this is a course that's kind of, or an event that's not necessarily built around upside that much, because he's going to be one of the better golfers in the field. So we'll see what he can get up to. I'm a little concerned. I'm taking a look at his approach stats, and he's gaining strokes like a madman. But from a good shot perspective, like hitting it inside 6 feet from a wedge range, he doesn't do that often, which concerns me at a birdie fest. He's going to have a lot of longer birdie looks, but not nearly as many short ones as you're kind of looking for from Russell. But he's safe. In the field like this, I don't mind him.
Yeah, I certainly agree with a lot of those takes there. Again, like you mentioned, he is, he's going to be one of the better players in the field. So it's not like you're going to get a ton of leverage. That he's going to be one of those cards that everybody plays up the tier, right? If you go into rare, he's going to be one of those guys in the core level that gets probably into the double-digit ownerships.
Yeah.
Which I think is an interesting point that you and I can discuss for a minute. In reality, most weeks, golfers will not get over 10% owned in a Reignmaker except for those stars that are being played up. So Henley is one that's being played up this week. Cameron Young, obviously, will be played up. Emiliano Grillo will be played up, probably a little bit, who we've mentioned, and certainly Eric Cole. As we move down, though, Nick Taylor, this guy has really shown that he can play, but not getting quite as much steam as some of the others. As you can see, pretty cheap. Sepp Straka. Sepp Straka had a weird start to, what was it, Saturday or Sunday at the Rocket? I don't know if you know, Byron, which day it was.
Saturday.
It was at Saturday? Okay, where he take a quad on the first hole?
I think he went bogey double, or he went like 4 over pretty quickly, and it pretty much catapulted him out of. He was sitting in like 4th going into the weekend, and then the next thing is 70th. Just very disappointing stuff. I had him as an outright, so I was very familiar of that little meltdown from Sepp. But again, I think that upside's there, and we saw what he was capable of for 2 rounds at least before he decided to do what he did. But yeah, I'm liking what I'm seeing now.
Yeah, so from my angle, I'm seeing, as we use our price estimate, I'm seeing certainly a little bit of value at the elite level. Looks like he should at least get into the first leg of the playoffs, if not the second. Probably is going to play quite a bit. We expect him, as we go to the scheduler really quick, I do expect Sepp to be playing in. Well, it looks like he's not playing the Scottish, but he will get into the Open Championship based off his OWGR. So we'll get a 2 out of 3 run week. And then again, I probably expect him to play a decent amount in these next 3 weeks after the Open Championship, just given he's not ranked in the top 30. So first, we check utility. I think it's going to be high. Second, we take those 4-hole start away, Byron, and he probably ends up in the top 20 last week, maybe even top 10. Certainly was trending that way. So I like Sepp Straka quite a bit as, say, maybe even a 4th or 5th guy next to Cam Young, if you want to go that way, next to Eric Cole, next to Grillo, and next to Hadwin or McCarthy. We haven't talked about Hadwin yet, but certainly next to McCarthy. You agreement there?
Yep, I agree. Like the top of the board is going to be the top of the board this week. We're going to know who's the good guys and who's not. So it depends how much you want to go optimal or how much you want to kind of spread out your lineups. Adam Hadwin's interesting. He plays easy courses easy very well. We saw that last week.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a second. I'll give you kind of a little tidbit into my own portfolio, and I'm sure some people have had this kind of scenario come up in their own kind of way, their own tier. So I play mainly at the elite tier. I do have some legendary. Cameron Young actually happens to be, I have 2 of his legendary cards. I've mentioned that a couple of times on the show. Maybe I haven't mentioned, though, I have a Doug Gim Reignmaker card. And I bought that way early on in the season because I got a Ryan Armour Reignmaker card in one of the packs. So I'm like, all right, I got one. I might as well spend a little bit more and get that second and put together a lineup. Well, what's been unfortunate, Byron, is that Doug Gim has gone on a nice run here. Ryan Armour hasn't made a cut since January, and I'm a big Ryan Armour guy. I love him. I've met him a couple of times. We've chatted. Like, he's my guy. Problem is, last week he cost me a cash, not getting to the cut. I came in 50th. He needed to come in 46th. I guarantee you, if I had Adam Hadwin at next to Doug Gim in my 5 of 5, I would have easily cashed. So, do I trust Ryan Armour this week to get me through the cut and rely on my Doug Kim and strong 3 other legendaries, or should I look to spend the money and upgrade? Again, this could be at any tier too. Apply it.
Yeah.
Just so happens this happens to be the highest tier for myself.
Look, I think you're gonna go a long way to finding better than Ryan Armour. Sorry,
right.
That's unfortunately just the situation. But if you're trying to nickel and dime the situation after winning him or earning him or something, it always is fun to kind of go into battle with that guy. It's you haven't you haven't gone balls to the wall on the Reignmakers cards, so to speak.
Yeah.
So it's kind of just like a bit of a, let's see if our underdog can really pull through. I've got similar situation with like a Chairs and things like that in my elite side of things. Mm-hmm. Some cheaper guys that you're kind of just hoping to blossom, but no. My answer is no. If you are looking to be a bit more productive and win a bit more money, I think Ryan armor needs to get off your card.
Yeah. So the thought behind that I've had is just like, okay, I want to try and find a guy that I believe complements Doug Gim. And when I say that, I mean is kind of in the same FedEx Cup standing, so that I can expect them to play together all the time.
Yeah.
Garrett Higo is a name that I threw around that is kind of ranked right around Doug Gim, around 90th. Probably going to play in a lot of the same events. Got to make the cut at least 70% of the time. No, I shouldn't say at least 60% of the time. Let's be fair here. Let's be fair. And I put in, one of those offers today, so we'll see. I'll keep you updated. So I didn't preface it with telling you that I kind of I'm trying to go the route of upgrading my card. I really think that's always a better case than trying to go for the luck bounce of just getting him to the weekend. So I wanted to see what your take was, and it's pretty much right along the line of mine, and that's upgrade. Like you said, if you want to go to battle, with the guy's card that you just won or something, it's kind of a different story. But nonetheless, we'll look and try and continue to upgrade that lineup here. So, okay, we have built out about 4 of our top guys. I'm not letting you get me away from Cam Young. I can't do it in this field. You've said Eric Cole, and I totally agree with you. The guy is a stud. We both like Grio quite a bit. This is our optimal lineup setting. We've talked about Sepp Straka. We both like him. And now, for me, it comes down to Henley, McCarthy, and Hadman. I think they're all rating out super similar. In fact, I think they're all similar players. Maybe Henley's a little better iron player and not as good a putter as those other 2 guys. Hadwin's probably the most streaky of them, and maybe McCarthy-ish played the best this year. So of those 3, who are you leaning for your optimal spot this week?
I'll go with Denny.
Denny? Okay.
I think he's, out of the 3, he's due a win the most. I'd probably say 2. If he did win, it wouldn't be as surprising as the other 2.
Yep, I think I'm there with you. So, okay, now we've got our optimal lineup set there. That's the route that we're going to go this week. And in that setting, now, for the last couple of minutes here, let's transition to talk about maybe some of those cheaper plays. We're going to try and build a rare lineup, which, again, you can win $2,000 here this week as a first-place prize. We're going to try and keep it under $40 this week, Byron.
Okay.
I think we can do it based off of some of the prices that I've seen. Eric Cole was 20. I don't know if we're going to be able to do it with him. So I'm going to let you start it off. Give me at least one name that you like this week that you think kind of fits our budget. Again, we got to get 5 guys. We can get 1 core, which we know, even if we went with the most expensive core on the board, it's $9. So we do have probably a pretty good budget here to spend on these rare cards.
Yeah. I am kind of liking Andrew Novak at round about that $6.50 mark.
Okay.
He's missed his last 2 cuts, but prior to that, he was absolutely on a tear of making cuts. And as you can see there, I think, $5.55 after a miscut last week is definitely affordable. He makes a lot of cuts, and he's had 2 top 10 finishes as a guy that's kind of under the radar. I still have high hopes for him going into the fall swing, sitting at 380 there in the FedEx Cup points race. So a lot of utility from him still to come. Very affordable. I think that gives us some nice, salary relief to the top here with can probably sneak over the 20 mark here for 1 or 2 guys potentially.
Yeah, just sliding down, looking. You just told me his FedEx rank. What is it again? Tell me.
I'm seeing it like a 380 as of the week before. So it's way out there.
Okay. Yep. So he's still got a little bit of work to do, which necessarily isn't a bad thing when we're talking about utility for our Reignmakers cards. So, okay. Well, like Andrew Novak, he's $5, so that might even be able to get us to go a little bit more aggressive here with our core card. We might be able to add in a Denny McCarthy or even say Eric Cole, who's coming in at $4. Maybe that's the guy that we want to kind of play up a little bit. Now we've got roughly $30 to spend on these last 3 guys, which should give us a good little window of players. A couple of the targets that you can see here on the screen, Keith Mitchell, Taylor Montgomery. Either of those 2 guys pop out at you, both big-time birdie makers. This, for me, would be a great event for Taylor Montgomery, who just wants to make birdies. I'm kind of into him this week. I haven't been into him much this year, but I think I'm almost there.
Yeah, I think it's a chance that he's going to feel Corn Ferry-esque this week,
Yep.
and off you go. Going to need a lot of birdies. He is one of those guys. I definitely can't see anything going. I mean, the risk is there, obviously, but at 15, for a rare, that's interesting. I think there's other options compared to at $15 to go.
Yeah, 15 is a little expensive. It seems like we aren't the only ones that are kind of maybe steaming him up a little bit, especially given the fact that we've got guys that are ranked right around him, like Alex Smalley, that are coming in $4 cheaper.
Yeah.
So maybe who's another name in that $10 to $13 range that you might like just as much as Montgomery?
Yeah. I'm thinking like a real nice, affordable price is Ches Reavie right now.
Yeah.
He's sitting right under the $10 price, which is really interesting. You take a look at comp courses for this dude. He checks out really, really nicely on these TPC venues.
Really does.
He led the field in approach last week, did he?
That's what he does. That's what the champion does.
Now we're going to get to, like, if that putter can, like, light up a bit. Oh, boy. The irons are looking good.
And it's so funny. I don't know how much you've dug into Reavie. I've followed Reavie for quite a bit. This guy is a form guy. When he gets on a train, it typically lasts about a month, and then he's gone for 4 months. And I mean gone. No cuts made. We're not talking like top 50. No. No cuts. But when he's on this train, he makes all of his money in that 4-week span. And it's funny, outside of the best golfers in the world, the top 10 or 20, a lot of these guys will make their hay in a 3-week, 4-week span. And a lot of pros that I've talked to have kind of echoed that and said, yeah, we're looking to catch fire for 3 weeks in a row and get inside the top 125 in the FedEx in those 3 weeks, honestly. And you can certainly do that. So Reavie is on that run. Great start at TPC Cromwell there in Connecticut. Followed it up last week at Rocket Mortgage, which should have been a bomber-heavy event. There's Reavie at bomber-heavy events. The guy just continues to show up.
Gaining on approach, the best in the field, dude. I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw that. So
it's crazy to me. Now, let's see. I'll pull this up in a second. We always we don't talk much about course history here or anything like that too much, but let's do a little quick in check. Looks like typical Ches. A couple missed cuts, a couple of good finishes. He's a form guy. Inevitably, that's it. Doesn't matter where he's playing, right?
Yeah. No,
I like Reavie. That's a good call. Reavie, Cole, Novak is definitely going to be a low-owned guy. Okay, we're at like $18 here, so we've definitely got some wiggle room. So, who's kind of that upper echelon guy? You like somebody better than Montgomery at 15?
I do. I think. I mean, if you want to spend up a tad, you can go to Grillo, at that price. Even, Bezzy's going to be sub $10 again.
He showed looks like Sunday hit a really strong close. Maybe hold out on 16 for Eagle at the Rocket Mortgage. I like him a lot better this week. So you feel like his form is trending?
Well, yeah. I mean, we've seen the irons do its thing, and they kind of really came out hot after the players there for a while, and then it's kind of slowed down. But everything else about his game's kind of found that same niche again. So if we can get those irons to start cooking, he finished well. Yeah, I finished second last year. Yep. So he loves his.
It's a good course for him.
Yeah.
So, like you said at the top, when you see a driving accuracy at 60% and a greens in regulation at 70, that typically means that the rough is just not that penal. Because they're hitting 10% more greens than fairways, which again typically means that the rough is not penal. Typically, when you would have a driving accuracy at 60%, you would expect greens and reg to be there, or maybe even a little bit less. So obviously missing the fairway is not that much of a problem. And that is Bez's biggest problem, and where he gets into the most trouble is off the tee. He's stellar. He's stellar around the green and on the green. And like you said, if you catch him in a hot iron week. So interesting. All right. So that's $11. Cole is so we're close to like 29 here. We're right around that range. So looks like we maybe need another $11 guy. Keith Mitchell does fit. Alex Smalley's right there. Patrick Rogers. Those are 3 names. Anybody else, or of those 3, who do you like the best?
Can I throw Michael Kim in the mix as well?
Oh, man, you sure can. I'm a big fan of Michael Kim, what he's got going on.
Especially, I know the course history is not pure predictor of success at this venue. But if you talk about guys that have played well, he's got one of the craziest wins in PGA Tour history at this venue. Not so long ago either.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, I'm gonna. Where is he coming in the OWGR right now? He's there. He is 134. We're ranked 83rd in the FedEx Cup, so we're looking like we're on the verge of the playoffs. Yeah. But we're sitting in this 50 to, I'll call it 90 range that you and I have discussed. I think is going to be super valuable come the Fortnite Championship in the fall, when we're still going to get 175, 175K to the prize pool, and Michael Kim is a top 10 in the odds. This, maybe his card value won't be as much, but his ability to come in an optimal lineup certainly will. So I love that's a great call on Michael Kim. So that's it. I mean, that's a rare lineup for you for under $40. Let's go over it one more time. I'm going to make it in the background just for fun. Okay, so we got Michael Kim. We've got Eric Cole. We've got Andrew Novak as our kind of against the grain play. Okay, and what are our other two guys? Bez, right?
Bez.
Yep, Bez, and our last one is.
Denny? Did we have Denny in there?
No, we didn't go Denny. We went to. Trying to remember.
Who do we have already?
We have Michael Kim. We have Bez. We have Novak. We have Cole. I'm trying to remember the last guy. I'm going to have to go back. I
wasn't Grillo, was it?
No, he was a little too expensive.
Novak, got him. Reeve,
that was it. Thank you, Reeve. Reeve is the one I don't have. Yeah. That's perfect there. So I love it. I think it's a in this type of field, it's great. If you want to upgrade one of these players, obviously Novak would be the guy that you turn to, and maybe do a little bit of an upgrade there. But still, he's going to be an against the grain guy that certainly was playing well before his missed cut there a couple of weeks ago. So that's great. I hope that all of you watching will do something like this. Get into the game. I think it's a great way to just dip your feet into the Reignmakers element. It is a different game. There's a lot of complexities to it. We try and cover some of those here. And, of course, through the tools at Lucky Trader that we've been showcasing here on the show today. And if you're watching through podcast, check out the YouTube video so you can see what we're talking about. Hopefully those tools are going to make everybody better. And, of course, we're going to have them for NFL coming up in a month. Byron, you're going to be doing the NFL streets with me?
I'm in, dude. I struggled to get all the way into something. So, that's why I just went purely golf with the model main thing. Yep. But with Reignmakers in the mix, I feel like, I'm a big Jets fan anyway. I'm big into fantasy football. So I might as well try my hand at some Reignmakers.
Get your Aaron Rodgers, Garrett Wilson at the rare level.
Izzy Azabandakanda, our little rookie running back sleeper early in the year, while Brees is still getting back on the wagon. So lots of exciting stuff coming up.
Yeah, interesting. Like I say, the Aaron Rodgers thing, I certainly like. Throwing that with a Saquon Barkley and an Amon-Ra St. Brown, and we're talking about a pretty quality lineup. So, yeah, that's why I love the Reignmaker style, by the way, is players. Sure, you can try and go get them in your home event, right? But the problem is, let's say you have the 12th pick, you're not getting your favorite player.
Yeah.
Here, you're getting your favorite players, and you can have them all year. Same thing with PGA. Next year, when Ludwig Aberg is part of the set, I'm buying all of his cards. No one's He is here this week for those playing, but he's also the fourth favorite. Now, we've seen this with Colin Morikawa years ago. He probably ends up hitting at this price, which is annoying, but that's kind of the route we've been going. All right, well, hopefully you guys all enjoyed this better format. Byron, I think I liked it much better. Great flow, I think. Good information for everybody to see. So until next time, everybody, good luck this week at the John Deere Classic and UFC 290. We'll see you next week for the double week on the PGA Tour side. We get the Barbasol and the Scottish Open. And then following that, we get the Open Championship. So a lot going on. So until next time, everybody, cheers, good luck, and we'll see you on the other side.